Hi everybody, my name's Matthew Bruno. I'm the Business Development Manager for Underground Solutions here at NSS Canada, and we're here today with my partner Bruno, who will introduce himself in a second, to answer some questions that our market and intern Tarek has come up for us. So this should be as interesting for you as it is for us.
Hi everybody, Bruno Lalonde, President NSS. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere, it's Friday, as Matthew said. 4 o'clock, we're getting a good start to the weekend. I plan on having a drink with Matthew and having some good topic discussions, and I think this is going to be something new that we roll out for NSS, and we're really excited to brand ourselves and to get the exposure out into the market for people to understand who we are.
What trends do you see in the industry in the coming years?
That one's interesting. So I think the industry is going to go through a shift. Well, the big tagline I've seen lately is Industry 4.0, where they say, oh, it's all going to be data driven. I think we're going to see the industry really cut back in the workforce again and move a lot of the guys who are coming out of school, going to work in the mines, any more technical roles. And really seeing like how back in the day, it used to be departments that had 50, 60 guys in them just for a mine, right? And then it cut down to 10. I think it's going to further cut down, and you're going to see a huge personnel reallocation as things really become automated and digital.
Yeah, I can agree to that, and I truly do believe big data is going to be one of the biggest things for how mining's definitely revolutionary, like becoming a revolutionary, and where mining's been typically 10, 15 years behind the eight ball. There's a massive push now for this technology, and we look at COVID as being part of where we are today, because I think it's really pushed forth the ability for companies and clients especially to really understand that they really need to become more efficient with their time, their efforts, being remote, understanding the data. I think that's the biggest focus is understanding where this data is coming from and how we can manipulate it to actually make decisions.
No, I agree with you there. I think COVID was the driver as much as everybody needed a kick in the backside to get going. Like otherwise, they're just going to fall behind. I think Canada is starting to realise that. Like again, we're going to see how I think the Canadian market is going to really change and modernise, because you've seen these people who are doing all this remote work in Brazil and Australia and South Africa. Some of the technology they have there is nuts, just because they have to deal with that remoteness and have to deal with that digitalness. So it'll be really interesting to see how the Canadian market pushes itself to become a leader again. And I think you're right. Like you can collect all the data you want, but if you never use it, you don't know how to use it. What's the point?
Exactly. Yeah.
What is the most overrated innovation in the mining industry right now?
Overrated, eh? Well, I don't want to say ours, but
No, I kind of pivoting that question. I don't think it's more or less it's overrated. I think what's happening now, and a lot of the times, is that there's a saturation of technologies that are out there. I don't think any one of us is overrated. It's just a matter of how do we incorporate everything into one. And I think that's the biggest thing is, there's companies like NSS and Hexagon and Leica and our partnerships that we've had where we have that one-stop shop approach. But at the end of the day, some sites don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. Fair enough. That's great. So I think there's one of the things that we really need to look at is being agnostic to everybody, and having the ability to work with everybody. So I don't think anyone's ever pigeonholed into a space. More or less, it's open up your doors to let's work together.
And just to tie in what you were saying there, like again with the amount of people in the space and the oversaturation, I don't know if there's anything overrated. I think maybe 10 years ago some of the stuff was seen to be overhyped. If you told somebody 10 years ago we have a fully autonomous drone that scans your mine, there's no human interaction, they're going to be like, no, that's no way, that doesn't exist.
Well, we had the conversation today, like not even totally on the social side. My debate was like, hey, TikTok. And you're like, TikTok's stupid. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's
overrated.
And you said it was overrated. And I'm like, well, no, I think it's just part of being part of the market and the understanding that where the people are. It's how do we get in contact with people? And, with COVID and with everything, we have to think differently. That's the biggest thing. And I think that what's overrated is people are not thinking differently. They think that if you're going to stay in the same spot that you were a year ago and you think that you're going to be safe, that's impossible. You need to look outside and what's going, and being part of being with everybody and then joining the shift. So like whether it's you're sitting on TikTok or you're sitting on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm using that as an example. But at the end of the day, it's technology.
Yeah, it's the same idea. No, I get you there.
What locations are up and coming in the mining industry and why?
Locations. Now, locations, you mean like specific sites or like regions? Because it's vastly different. Like Canada's a different bag for some of the ones in Australia or some of the ones like South America, Africa. Like, define locations for me, Tarek.
My definition was regions in the world, but since you brought up different sites, add that in the question.
Yeah, sure. This one's actually interesting for me because, as people may or may not know, I come from Scotland. Scotland historically mined everything you could mine. What was that?
Beer drinkers.
Beer drinkers, historically massive alcoholics. But also, we've had a lot of mines. The UK, Europe, North Africa, like some of the mines there were in use back in the Roman days, right? So one of the things I'm seeing, because I follow it, is there's an actual shift in the thinking of the cleanliness and the pollution of mines in Europe. Scotland opened up its first gold mine about 250 years, about a year ago. And it's the shift where regions that were previously explored are super civilized per se, whereas a lot of urban infrastructure are starting to reassess if mining is something that could be local and could be done. So I think you'll see a big shift as technology gets better and the back end for pollution and safety and automation gets improved. A lot of the old countries in Europe and Africa, certain parts of their area, are really going to explode. The other regions, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, now that the political climate is stabilized again in those regions, there's a lot of mines opening up there. Like, it's crazy. Like, there's a really big push to people realizing we need to keep the mining cycle alive, in the sense that there always needs to be open mines, there always needs to be mineral extraction, and it needs to be done everywhere, not just 1 or 2 or 3 points in the world. And then even in Canada, we're starting to get a lot better access to the far north and areas that just were uneconomical before, and they're finding absolutely massive deposits because nobody's ever had the chance to go up there. So you'll see them come online, and you'll see that transition into that wealth reaching the communities in the next couple of years, 10 years, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, as technology evolves, so is our efficiency, and so does cost. So, like, if we can look at cost for operational costs to go after these deposits, then 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a lot more hands-on on the project. So it's like, it's more or less understanding how technology can help us. And I think there's plenty of up and coming geographical locations in the mining space, but I think there's a lot more juniors coming on, and I think that's because we're smarter miners.
Oh, absolutely. The amount of data is like coming for the geology background. Some of the juniors and the machine learning algorithms they have for drill holes, prospecting, like, it basically tells you drill here, you'll find stuff. And it's just, you don't need a crew of 100 people and 10 drills. Now it's one drill, one season, and you almost find yourself a mine.
Yeah, there's some really good technologies that are out there. The one I'm thinking of is Goldspot.
Goldspot is using machine learning for leapfrog.
Yeah.
But Goldspot, absolutely.
I think that's one of the coolest things I saw. It's just, like, it's allowing us to be more efficient, smart, and understanding, cost analysis right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can we do to get more people, especially students, into mining?
Yeah, I think what NSS's focus, and one of the biggest things that we're doing, is really pushing local involvement into our education systems, because I think the education systems here in Sudbury is, even though in the news you hear a lot of stuff about Laurentian right now, but at the end of the day, I think Laurentian's one of the best institutions that are out there in the mining space. On the university side, then you're looking at your colleges, Cambrian. Both Matthew and I came from Cambrian, and then Collège Boreal, one of our biggest key technical experts here with NSS came from Collège Boreal. So I think it's really creating partnerships within the mining industry is very crucial, but at the same time, getting to the students at an early stage, not only on the sales side of things, where it's like getting the tools in their hands to understand what the technology it's all about, but I think it's like my biggest thing is engaging the students and understanding, getting them involved with what's out there prior to getting into the workforce and giving them an idea what options they have. You don't necessarily need to go to, the Valets, the Glencores, there's a lot of, smaller opportunities, or it's not smaller opportunities, smaller entities that you can look at that can impact and do a lot and change the way mining is thinking. Myself personally, and I think Matthew as well envisions this, is I think you can get a lot more impact being in a smaller group and then pushing change to a broader spectrum, because I think that, that's what's exciting. That's what ignites me. It's the fact that we can wrap ourselves around technology and develop something else and then bring it to clients. That's cool.
Yeah. No, and I think being able to get, as you say, get the students early enough that they can see this, and I think it's just also showing them, when you say get the technology in their hands, but show them that mining's changed. It's not just 12 hours a day in a hole. It's the technology's there. It's modernized. It's making sure that they know they have options. And I think that's the biggest engagement. Even for you, Tarek, behind the camera, you didn't really know these were industries until you applied and started working for us. So as the industry starts requiring more and more technical skills, more people outside of just the operations, I think talking to schools, Sudbury, as you said, we have a strong mining history. We'll keep it. Getting to the students outside of Sudbury as well, and really advertising that fact to everybody, that it's not just a job. It's really going to be key. And
being able to coach and mentor the young minds. I think young minds are crucial to where we are today, because I know I'm not old, but at the end of the day, I am so far out of touch with technology, but compared to a 22-year-old fresh out of school. So they understand how to work these technologies, or have a grasp around a lot of it prior to even getting into the industry. So they can bring a whole level of thinking that I'm not trivial to, because I don't play in the space. I'm coming back to the social media side of things. TikTok versus Facebook. I'm the Facebook guy. That's considered the old people. Well, that's where I'm at today. I'm okay with it. But at the end of the day, I know, so it's knowing your space and knowing your people and knowing the understanding of what the market's after. And then I think, we're a young staff. We're really, we have some really good senior management, but we wrap ourselves a lot around the younger staff, because I think honestly they have a lot to offer and bring that level of thinking that we need to be in the forefront of technology. And that's where, going back to when I first started, it was we need to really look at how are we in front? How are we always we're a technology company. Well, what are we doing that's better than our competitor? What are we doing in the space? So it's having that shift, and I think it's a really good question. It's because I think we really need to engage at an early time, first year. Yeah.
What new product excites you the most in the mining space right now?
Exxon.
Yeah.
And Moss. No, man. This might, it's a little bit of a plug, but I think autonomous flying of drones in lighter space. So if anybody knows the NSS Pass, we were in the drone business for terrestrial and for drone surveying, and the market again, so it got oversaturated, where we used to sell certain pieces of equipment for a certain price value, and then the hardware became very well saturated in the space. So it wasn't necessarily we needed to be in the hardware, we needed to be in the software. Then eventually we just said, there's not enough gains in this market for NSS, so we decided to get out of this space. But both Marty and myself said we'll finally come back. We'll come back to the drone space if there's somebody that's out there that can fly autonomously and has a LiDAR solution that can fly stopes and do mapping And so like I think that's really crucial. The fact that we can see, like we can really look at dilution and what the stopes are. We make sure that we're not missing a big picture with a normal CMS methodology compared to drone methodology. So like that excites me.
Yeah, no, that one's good. I think exactly that, with the whole thing about it being completely autonomous. And just the industry moving to what blows my mind. For me, a lot of the things are the same kind of vein, whereas the human operator hands off would be some of the geological software with the hexagon stuff, with the mine plan stuff. For them doing the implicit modeling, like it's sad because I can see the job of a geologist at the early stages being obsolete or changing at least in the next 10 years. A lot is going to turn into being the person who validates that machine's data, but some of the systems you put in your geological data and it lays out the lithology, it lays out your ore body, like it's just, there's no human error. It's best data, using the data and using the algorithms and being able to validate it. And it's insane because it takes months to weeks of work away and you get your results and you know they're good.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievable. The amount of computational power, and that actually ties in, the products is the tablets. I talked to this in the interview when I did with the Crownsman last week there, is a lot of the stuff that 10 years ago you needed a really beefy desktop with the big massive rigs. Now like, we sell the tablets that you can do everything you need in the tablet. The tablets we sell are better than my laptop.
Yeah.
And you can run, and that's what I mean. So you don't need the computational power of this huge rig. Everything's mobile, everything's modular. It's unbelievable. And I think it's only going to get more interesting.
For sure. Another thing that excites me is what Newmont's doing at Borden. Completely electric. Like I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a massive shift to mining as well. Diesel particulates is something that we've always been dealing with. Ventilation is going to be something that we're always dealing with on every mine site. So like going completely electric allows us to allows your workforce to be safer, cleaner, everything. It's great, and you're a lot more efficient.
What are some old ways of thinking that need to change for the industry to progress?
Surveying. I think some of the stuff that we're about to release, and obviously the last 30 years we've been in the mining space, in the engineering survey space for underground. That's one of our biggest thresholds, that where Marty's brought us to where we are today and where we're going tomorrow is the ability to be more autonomous. I think, where, do we really need a total station? And I think, we're doing some really cool things right now with what we're developing. We're partnering with HoloLens and some really cool augmented reality and some virtual reality stuff. And, some other big players in the mining industry. And I think there's some really cool stuff that's coming out on our end that allows us to get away from the traditional smoke marks, where, some sites are still using that, or using drift scopes, or they're using monopod system, which, don't get me wrong, we sell the monopod system. So if you want to buy it, you can still buy it. But, I think when it, again, comes back, circling back to technology is allowing us to be super efficient. And yeah, I'm a little biased because where I'm sitting and on the NSS side of things, but I think that's the reason why I chose to be where I am today, is because I really believe in what NSS can do and the partnerships we built, within Leica, within Hexagon, some other up and coming partners that are coming. I wish I can say, but I'm super excited.
No, I think actually what I was going to say ties into that is the way of thinking. A lot of the time when you go to the mines, you ask them, why do we do this? And the answer is that's because that's how we've always done it. Yeah. And moving away from that thinking.
Pen and paper, got to get away from
pen and paper, absolutely.
Yeah,
the reworking, the redundancy.
Yeah.
Like having a folder where you just put sheets in.
Like I love Excel, but
yeah. And that's the thing, moving away from that entire mind shift. And I think that'll be a generational culture thing, is as you were saying, the younger crowd comes into the workforce and they come in with the ideas. The fact that a lot of the 22-year-olds, 24-year-olds, whatever, enter in the workforce these days, they know how to code, they know how to do a lot of graphic design. They're fairly capable kids. Yeah. So being able to come in that workforce and do the stuff in-house to clean that up is going to drive that. So we're going to see them push for that technology as you
So
were saying
like,
coming in.
I'm totally all for technology, and like, but talking at sites and, you know, in the space that we've been in for so long, like how do we really look at change management? Like these guys that have been doing it for, you know, 20 years the same which way, we can't just, you know, boot them out. And I never want to do that, because I think senior level coaching is crucial to any site. But how do we get them to change and adapt to technology? Like that's like, not only do we sell great products, we got to be able to help shift that.
Absolutely, and I think that's where we come into play as like a not like a coach, but almost like a consultant, where it's not only this is the product and we think it will help you, it's really connecting with the guys at site or the girls at site and be like, no, listen, it's not just, oh, this is going to cost you your job, or this is, things are changing too bad. It's, we want to free up your day. We want to let you do more of the stuff that you think is important for your job, as opposed to this needless, tedious work. And exactly, the change management, I think that's the biggest thing, is you're going to see a big push where, like for some of the stuff I'm doing for Hexagon, we're providing the change management to the clients because they've never seen that kind of system before and they don't know how to handle it. So being able to walk them through it really helps that acceptance. And I think that's where a big strength for us is.
And like when you're talking with potential clients or anything like that change management, do you find that it's something that's a really lengthy and tedious project, or is it something that's like they adapt to?
It honestly depends. It depends on the scale. If it's, I find when you can help them clearly visualize how that process will happen from where they are now to where they need to be. If you can get them to buy in at an early stage and you get them on board and they can visualize it as well, it's like selling the dream, right? If you can sell that workflow dream and that change management dream, the buy-in's immense and they start telling other people this is the process. And to me, I find if you don't communicate and you just try and force it through, that's when you hit the road bumps and that's where you get pushback. And I think having that open line of communication between the clients, the operators, and everybody as a stakeholder in the system, and you get them all engaged and tell them and show them and do that person-to-person conversation, then absolutely it's a smooth process. It's not long, but if you fight it, that's where you have to, you know, watch yourself and really know how to connect with them.
Gotcha. Cool.
What are your thoughts on virtual conventions and how they're affecting the industry?
Virtual conventions, I think, is something that we're looking at today. I personally can't wait to be in the same room as people. I don't know if we'll be able to shake hands, but at least I'll be in this. Yeah, elbow ups or like or high five or
from
high
here.
Fives. Yeah. I'm super looking forward to the human interaction again. I think that's still part of and still very crucial to how we do business, and then how we as people are social. Naturally, we are social. So the virtual shows are something that we need to get through these tough times. I don't know. They may be hybrids coming. I don't know, but at the end, there may be some in person, some hybrid have the ability. NSS personally, I don't see a huge return on investment for the virtual side of things just yet. I think doing things like this, doing stuff with crownsmen get a lot more traction, and that's my, again, personal opinion. And how we do our brand awareness. So I think that's looking at how do we do virtual stuff. Yeah, like I said, can't wait to actually shake hands.
Yeah, no, just to go on that, I think, well, you answered the NSS part. I think as an industry, as the mining industry as a whole, it's still a very, I need to physically touch things. I need to see a product. I need to see the people. Not even the human nature aspect of being social, but we just mining and how much physicality is involved. Virtual trade shows, not being able to go there and get a feel of what you need, I don't think works. It may have just been a rough year. A lot of these conventions, it was their first run.
Yeah.
And we all know the first run generally is where you learn the kinks.
Yeah, but like, for example, like I don't know, 3 years ago, I probably never thought I would ever buy anything off Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't say it's not going to work. I'll never say it's not going to work. I'm agreeing with you. The first kick of the can probably wasn't the best in my vision so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm not saying no.
No, I think the hybrid ideas, I think you're right. That's probably where it's going to go.
If you had to sum up the past year of mining in 3 words, what would they be?
I don't know if I can do it in 3 words, but in the last year, I think time management has been a huge side of myself, and like how I've really understood that time management is key, especially being, having a team remote. It was crucial for me. Team management, organization was huge for us. And then being able to talk with clients and you know what, cost savings, I'm going to say, we found a way to engage with clients, and we're talking with them. I'm not going to sites right now. We're not going to sites. So like NSS on a whole we're doing very well because we don't have those high costs for expenses and travel, wine and dine, that sort of stuff that we normally do. But tough mentally. I think it's put a big burden on a lot of people. It's working from home is different, where people aren't used to working from home. We're fortunate to be in the office space and have plenty of space between all of us to have our own little space here, where we still get a little bit of the cooler talk. But I see a lot of people on having a hard time juggling the fact that kids are home right now. I think that's what the biggest thing. It's like we're both now. I'm at the point where I have 2 kids at home. They're not in school yet, but some people will have their kids at school. They're doing homeschooling, working. Mom and dad are both home, so like challenging. I can't give you 3 words besides that.
I think you touched on a lot of good points. I think the 3 words I would use is rapid, challenging change.
Yeah.
As you were saying, like it's a new normal, as much as that's the tagline they all like to say, and it just shows the resilience of the people in the industry that they can adapt, and as much as it's tough for everybody, it's something that most people see as, I need to soldier through, it's going to get better, we'll handle this as best we can. And that's the industry in general. The industry may be slightly under full tilt, but not by much. There's no rapid shutdowns, there's no major mine closures. They stepped up to the plate, they put procedures and caution in place, they know how to treat their employees, they figured out, a lot of them, how to work from home or work remote, and it really just shows that the industry is adapting faster than even they probably think they could.
Yeah, totally agree, man.
Yep. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Hopefully this becomes a more weekly thing. Me and Bruno, once a week, we might get special guests in, bring in the occasional Frank or Steph, get Tarek over here, get some conversation. Thanks for your time, thanks for listening, and hope to hear again from you.
Couch sessions
with Bruno and Matthew.
Yeah. I like it. No, again, thanks for your time, and if anyone's listening, you probably have something better to do. Cheers to the weekend. Stay safe, give your family a hug, and have a good weekend.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.